what's going on, everybody? This is Off Key, episode 2, a show about music. I'm Sean. This is Steve Steve Schmidt. He's got a Steve Jobs vibe going on right now. But if you watched episode 1, we appreciate it. As you can see, I probably need a haircut, but we'll worry about that later. We're going to talk about music again and talk about some of the things that we were trying to do for ourselves last week or listen to and check out. But yeah, dude, I mean, what'd you listen to today? What'd you listen to this week? Let's just get it started.
Well, first thing I do have to clear up is that I did look into the Kings of Leon statement about whether or not he actually liked that song, Sex on Fire.
Was I wrong?
No. So just want to correct it.
Okay, thank you. No, that's solid journalism, Steve. And like I said, I always try to preface stuff and say, I believe this is what he said. So go on.
Well, we got called out by one of our viewers that maybe it might not be true. But actually what they did say, there was like a Toronto Sun article, and it was like years ago, that they called it a quote unquote total piece of shit and terrible crap in the article.
Okay.
But what they did they like went back on their word, because a few years later, they basically said they love that song and they're very thankful for that song. And anytime that they play it live, that basically the crowd goes nuts and there's no feeling like it. So that's the last we'll talk about Kings of Leon. But actually, just for good measure. What's that?
I said that's probably not true. We'll probably talk about them at some other point.
Speaking of which, I continued to listen to them a little bit more. I watched their Lollapalooza 2018 set from like Brazil or Chile or something. One of the South Americans.
I think I actually watched that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and one thing I will say about it is that I didn't realize how many songs of theirs were actually like singles that I hadn't realized that they had churned out over the years that I did recognize as their songs. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they've definitely put out a lot more than I realized.
Yeah, they don't suck, dude.
Nah, they're good. And then
so they're growing on you is what you're telling me.
I hope not. The singer still doesn't look like he cares. Like he was up there, he's playing to like 300,000 people, and he's just like he wanted to get off stage the whole time. He looked so bored. But
yeah, my brother was actually supposed to see them in like Colorado with his wife when they were like, this was like in 2011.
Yeah.
And I guess if I remember correctly, he got so drunk before the show started that they had to cancel the performance.
Your brother?
No, my brother was supposed to see them.
Yeah, what did he do that got the entire thing canceled?
No. Okay. The lead singer got so drunk that they had to cancel the entire performance for that night. Yeah, I don't think he has those issues with alcohol anymore.
Yeah,
but
that'd have been a bummer to fly out there for that.
Well, they were out there already, and they just figured, let's go see the show, and then they were excited to go see the show, and then they were disappointed when the show didn't happen.
No refunds.
So, yeah, probably not. Who knows?
Outside of that, I know Ed told me about that Light from Lock-In live stream, because now that everything's moved online for music festivals because of quarantine, it was the Interlocken Festival in Virginia.
Yeah,
it was basically
I didn't watch any of that, even though you sent me the link and stuff. I ended up not viewing in, and I wish I did because they're gone.
Yeah, I mean, it was just basically a bunch of archive sets, but one other kind of throwback to last week about our conversation about Zach Brown and his like mingling in all these different genres. The Saturday night closer set that they had online was the Zach Brown incident, which was the string cheese incident, and then Zach Brown was a guest. Yeah, so they kind of like interweaved their sets. But it kind of goes to show, like, here he is in this sort of jam band festival. Yeah. And this was like 2013, so you're still kind of at the peak of that country level. But, like, I enjoyed it a lot. And, like, there's a couple solid jams on there, and he's, like, not the person that I thought he was.
Yeah. And he's got some chops, dude. He can play.
Yeah. He's also, like, just a cool dude.
He seemed like it. From that Sonic Highways thing, he seemed definitely like he was a pretty interesting guy.
Yeah.
But I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, because there was this Dave Grohl interview where they were interviewing him, and they were talking about when Dave Grohl met Zach Brown. And he starts telling this story where he like sends him a message. He's like, "Hey, I've got this studio in Nashville. You guys should come and do the Sonic Highways thing." And so he follows up like after that. Dave Grohl's like, "Yeah, cool, man. I'll be in touch. We'll figure it out." And then he follows it up. He's like, "By the way, if you want to get some tactical knives, I can hook you up." And so I guess he's like really big into tactical knives. And,
right.
So I guess they were at
all the time.
So he sends him a text, and Dave Grohl is basically like, Don't worry about the knives, man. I'm cool. I don't need knives." And then he's like, "No, don't worry about it." And then so they go to the Grammys, and Zach Brown's like sitting in front of him at the Grammys. And he like turns around. He's like, "Hey," he like pulls out this giant like 9-inch blade. He's like, "I got you." And he's like, "They're gonna arrest us at the Grammys for what you did here." So
that's awesome. Where was the story from? It was in Sonic Highways.
Oh yeah, it was in like 2013 or something. But
okay.
Yeah. So basically, I've kind of like gone down the Zach Brown rabbit hole, and have enjoyed him quite thoroughly, actually.
Yeah, dude, he's got some like I know very little, but
yeah,
the little bit I've seen and heard is he does have this strong ability. Like people really respect him as a guitar player and as a musician.
Yeah.
And it seems like they want to play with him a lot, which is cool.
Yeah.
What else did you check out? Did you listen to anything else, or?
So the Vulfpeck.
Late the last week or not? Oh, that's right. Go on.
Yeah, no, that was one of the bands that played. It was like an afternoon set, but band out of Michigan. I think they went to U of M, Wolverines, and Go Blue. But basically, yeah, I checked out their set. It was like really funky, a lot of real cool stuff.
They're awesome. I saw them at the Metro, like probably like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were great. But super soulful. I forget the guy that he's like their lead singer, but he's kind of not their like official lead singer from what I understand. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, they like really mix it up.
Yeah, they it's just very freeform. Like people will jump on, oh, we're going to switch it up. He's going to play bass or whatever. It's really cool to see their live shows. 1512 is like their really popular song.
Okay.
I'm not even going to try and sing it because the vocals are super high. But 1512 is super fucking sweet. That song is awesome. But check that one out. You should write that one down. They probably played it at the set because it's their most popular song. But and then there's one more that I can't remember off the top of my head. They have a lot of good songs, but there's 1512 and then another one I was thinking of that was really popular as well. But if they ever come around, if we ever get to go to live shows again, check them out when you get a chance. I'm actually going to a live show on August 1st.
Where?
In McHenry. Mungion is playing. Shout out to all the Mungion people if any of my friends are watching this. But the band Mungion is playing. So Mackey's Hideout is this podunk awesome bar in McHenry. And I have family that lives in McHenry, for those of you that don't know me. But Mackey is this guy that runs this kind of small little bar, and he books awesome bands. He loves music, and he books phenomenal bands all the time. So he's got this big back area, like kind of outdoor area. And for the last like 3 years, 2 years, I think he's held a small festival called Summer Stomp. So I don't know how he got the okay to do it or whatever, but it got announced that they were doing. Yeah, right. Exactly. That's pretty much it. And Mackey doesn't really give a shit. But it got announced that they were going to do 3 different bands, I think, or 4 different bands on each night, Saturday and Sunday, I think it is, or Friday and Saturday. And there are only 150 tickets for sale. And I was like, you know what? I got nothing going on in my life. I'm in this super fucking weird time in my life. So I figured, fuck it. It's like $45. I might as well buy a ticket because it could be the last live show I see for the next 6 months. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go. My cousin lives literally, we can walk to Mackey's from his house. So I'm like, sweet, like I'll go. This will be fun. So yeah, I am going to a show. I'm one of the few people that's going to get to see live music in a socially distanced area to other people, but I won't be in my car. It won't be like a drive-in set. I'll be able to buy a beer at the show. Like, it's going to be wild.
I honestly did not realize how much I would miss festivals until like this summer, watching all these live sets being re-aired and just like being outside in summer in the middle of a field and watching this stuff, like, has generally been pretty depressing. But it's definitely made it much more, as long as this stuff can, like, stages survive and venues survive. And I think on the other end, people are going to come out, you know, more creative than we went in. You know, they're going to
agree with that for sure. Yeah, I mean, I hope most of the venues survive, you know, like I would hate to see a place like Martyrs shut down.
Yeah,
that would be terrible. You know, the Metro, I don't think is going anywhere because they've been making money for years.
Oh yeah.
But, and they said something about that the other day. The owner, I think his name's Joe, but said like, the rumors that we're closing are completely untrue or whatever. But yeah, man, it's been really weird, you know, especially when like music's been such a constant, or going to concerts has been such a constant in my life and your life and a lot of people's lives, obviously. And then, you know, can be a very therapeutic thing or a great distraction from the stresses of regular life. Like, it's been really weird to not be able to go see a band, you know. It's been super weird. So there are only like 20 tickets left. One of the guys I know works for Mungion. He's their tour manager, and he had posted something on Facebook saying there's only like 20 tickets left. So I was like, screw it, dude. When am I going to go to a concert again? I don't know. So I just figured I'd buy the tickets. So I'm excited for that. That'll be cool. And we'll probably do an episode. I'm sorry?
I was going to ask, is Mungion based around Chicago?
They're from Cary, Illinois. So they've been playing the McHenry, like northern Illinois area for a long time. But yeah, they're getting fairly popular. Like, they did a show 2 years ago where Mike Gordon of Fish was the headliner, his band was, and they got to open for you know, that one of the, you know, there were like 3 other acts, but they got to open during that. That was really cool for them.
Yeah.
They play summer camp every year now, pretty much, you know, and yeah, you know, they're growing and they've gone through some changes. Like, they just got a new drummer and a new bass player, but they're still trying to push strong. They did a live stream the other day. So, but yeah, they're based out of Cary and they're really good. So check them out if you've never heard of them. They're kind of like jazz rock, but they're really, really good.
It's spelled Mungion, by the way.
That's correct. Like Funyun.
Yeah, I was pronouncing it wrong for the longest time, and then someone corrected me. Yo, have you heard this band Mungion? It just sounded like
man.
But yeah, I don't know, man. There's one other thing about that Vulfpeck band that I thought was amazing, and I didn't know if you had heard this. It might have been actually the show you went to. Did you hear about their Sleepify album?
No, I have no clue what you're talking about.
So, like, the one thing I realized about the guys is that they've managed to sell out Madison Square Garden, and they've never had a label. They've never had, like, a manager or an agent or anything. They've never spent a dime on advertising, and they sold out Madison Square Garden. Like, the guys are very creative. Yeah.
I've never heard this. What was the name of the album you were talking about?
This is going back to Vulfpeck, the band.
Yeah, I know.
So the name of the album was called Sleepify, and it was you don't have to go listen to it because it was on Spotify. And what they had done, I think it was like 2015 or 16, but they created an album, and it was 31 seconds of silence, and it was like 10 tracks of 31 seconds of silence, because what happens is you only get paid for tracks on Spotify if it's 30 seconds or longer. They called it Sleepify, and they were crowdfunding their tour to make an admission-free tour so that people could come for free, like, without paying for tickets. And what they did was they got Spotify to foot the bill because they had all of their fans play it at
constantly.
Night. Yeah, so they encouraged them. They're like, when you go to bed at night, turn this album on, put it on repeat, and it's just over the course of the night. I think it was a 5-minute album.
Yeah.
and it would play, whatever, 100 times.
Yeah, absolutely.
They raised like $20,000
So
before
it's playing
Spotify.
It's playing like 30 times an hour, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Spotify only pays like 0.003 cents like per play.
The old
So-
drummer from Mungion told me that. He literally said, he was like, yeah, just put our album on and just turn it down, but just put it on repeat. He's like, we get like fractions of a penny for every time it plays. But that's genius. That is crazy.
So they basically, it made worldwide news. Like they raised $20,000 at Spotify, like still paid out. Like the owner of Spotify, CEO, whatever, although annoyed by it, like I think they were just kind of like, yep, you figured out the system.
You beat the system, dude. You loopholed us. And they still got to play their ads during that time.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're doing the
like
premium
ads.
things.
Well, I'm saying, yeah, unless people are doing premium. But yeah, if people were listening for free, they still got to play ads during it,
Yeah. So, I mean.
That's amazing. I had not heard that at all. That's crazy.
So they had saved up enough money for I think it was like 6 or 7 shows to put on for free. One of them was Chicago. So it might have been like right around that time that you were there. But
I was going to say, when I saw him, it might have been right after this happened. It was probably early 27 or probably like fall of 2017. Okay. So it's probably, they probably did that the year before. But that's crazy. So they did Chicago and they did Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. They ended up doing that was a couple of years later, I think, but they made they recorded it like on film. So really? I think you can go watch the whole thing, but it was just like these guys, they've done such an excellent job of marketing without having to like give into the business side of things. But like when a band can do that, like I have more than just musical respect for them because I think it's just incredible.
That's the ultimate hustle, dude. That's some fucking awesome baller ass shit right there.
Dude.
Like Sleepify. Just put it on when you go to bed. We're gonna collect money. Then we're gonna give you guys free shows. That's genius.
Just take it from billionaires and give you guys free shit.
Genius, dude.
So they were great. But yeah, the rest of the weekend was great. A couple other bands that popped up was like Government Mule. I know.
Okay.
There was something like Ed was like, check these guys out. I think it was Greg Allman's in that. And then, or not Greg. Is it?
I don't know. Guy? I've watched a couple of their sets and stuff before.
Or no, it's Warren Haynes. What am I thinking of? Not Greg Allman.
I think Greg Allman is dead.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I think so.
I gotta get my info straight. But what was the album you listened to today? You're telling me about?
Oh, I listened to Beck. Beck's new album. Beck's new album was the best thing I listened to all week. So I listened to that. It's called Hyperspace. It came out last year. Just another one off one of like the top 50 lists. Yeah. But I really liked it, man. There's one song on there that kind of has like a slide guitar melody. It kind of but it's combined with kind of, wouldn't call it like techno, but more like synthesizer and key type sounds. It's got a like really chill vibe to it. Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera. I'm pulling up a couple of notes I had written down about the album, but I just really liked it. I was driving back to the city, and it just, I don't know, man. Everything about it was very enjoyable. I think it flows really well, which was nice. And it kind of has like a little bit of an 80s vibe, but you can definitely tell it's still Beck. And I got to see him live at Riot Fest. I think it was last summer or whatever. And he was awesome. The performance was great. 2, just like you said with Kings of Leon, you forget how many awesome songs he has. Yeah. Or how many singles he has. And I think this is I was reading about the album just a little bit today, but this is his 14th album, which is, that's awesome. It's just crazy to me. I can't even fathom writing 14 full length records. It's nuts. And I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure like he's been one of those guys that's literally been doing most of the production and that type of thing on his own for a very long time. Like I think he works with other people, but as far as I know, like you know, especially earlier on, a lot of the arrangements and stuff and the songs you heard, like he did all on his own, as far as I know. Please double check me and call us out if we're wrong. We appreciate anybody calling us out if we're wrong.
We are not experts.
I mean, no, but we're having fun. But yeah, I would say check it out. The third track, the track I was talking about is called Saw Lightning. But just, I would say go listen to the album. I think it's only like, it's probably in the 50-minute range, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Just under an hour.
I know the
I
last
also
thing
found out that go ahead.
I was just gonna say the last thing I listened to, and I think it was like a Grammy nominated, was the Morning Phase. I think it was like 2016 or something. But it was
maybe I'll go back and listen to it, because
I think that was one with, like, in terms of multi-instrumentation, I'm pretty sure he got a lot of recognition for, because I saw one thing and it was like Beyonce, and it was like this whole list of writers and artists and like people who made beats and like people who wrote lyrics, and then it was like Beck, and
it just said Beck and then Beck and then Beck.
Yeah, and I mean it was just one of those things that like he's just like a great at his craft. And
yeah, like I said, I think he's been doing that stuff, like basically recording. Yeah, I think he was the type of dude that was recording in his basement in the early 90s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just doing stuff off 4 tracks and things like that.
Yeah.
And so I think he's basically, kind of been self-taught with all that stuff for a long time. But that's awesome.
But, and he also just like constantly changes his like sound in terms of just like if you listen to what he did in the 90s versus now, like he's obviously progressed in some natural way.
Yeah, I think he definitely does kind of change with the times a little bit too, which some people I know can be like critical of, but at the same time, I don't necessarily think that's easy to do as an artist, to put out like songs that, people like throughout time, and that you still gain new fans by doing that.
Yeah.
But like, I know my brother loves the album Sea Change by him, which I think came out in like the early 2000s. And I've never actually listened to it. I think I've maybe listened to like 1 or 2 tracks out of it. But like, my brother swears that is by far, like, I believe he refers to it as one of his favorite albums of all time. But I have not listened to it, so I should probably do that at some point. I think it's called Sea Change. I'm 90% sure that's the name of it. But I listened to that. I also found out that Bob Dylan had put out a new album, and it's called Rough and Rowdy Ways. I've been a Dylan fan since I first kind of like, I listened to his greatest hits album when I was like 16. And I like a lot of that stuff from his, like, whatever, the 60s and the 70s. This album, I listened to the whole thing actually when I was driving up to McHenry, and I enjoyed songs on it. There's one track that's very like kind of traditional blues, which is a little heavier compared to the rest of the album. I felt like the album was very soft, and I didn't think it was bad, but I didn't necessarily enjoy it,
Yeah.
I felt like a lot of the songs, obviously it's Bob Dylan, so you're listening to his lyrical content a lot because you just kind of want to wonder where he's going or what he's going to say.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed kind of going through that, I guess, exercise of listening to Dylan's music again, like having to listen to his lyrics and like think about what he's talking about. And I don't really think it's now. I think it's more direct. I think when he was younger in his 20s or whatever, if you watch like No Direction Home, the Scorsese documentary or whatever, if you watch that, I think he knows that he's putting out a lot of weird stuff and just kind of saying things sometimes, and he's not even sure if it makes sense, I think, at times.
Yeah.
But I think now he writes like a little more deliberately, but still in a very unique way, or a unique style of writing and lyrics, I guess.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was, like I said, I didn't think it was bad. And he's like, I think he's 78. So it's like, dude, you're putting out albums. That's awesome. You know,
It's just not hanging it up yet. I mean, to be able to do that still at this age.
Yeah, dude. And, you know, he's probably going to be one of those guys that lives till he's like 90 because he's continuing to play music. So,
yeah, he's got that work.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. So I listened to that. And then today, just as a change of pace, because I figured, knowing we were doing the episode tonight and knowing that you and I are generally probably going to talk a lot of like indie rock, punk rock, jam band stuff, I figured I'd switch it up. I haven't listened. I mean, I think, you know, I used to be like, I still am a Mos Def, a Nas fan, Talib Kweli, like those guys. But I haven't really listened to any hip hop music that's like new in years. So before we did the show today, I was like, let me look at what like people are talking about the best hip hop albums of 2019. So number one on one of the lists I looked at was Polo G, who is a rapper from Chicago. And he has a track, like the single that was talked about in the review I read was called Pop Out, which that one I didn't really care for. But I will say this, like I was expecting a lot of mumble rap, just because I feel like that's kind of where hip hop and rap has gone these days. Yeah. He raps more than most of the rappers I've heard today, like, and flows lyrically, which was kind of refreshing to hear. I didn't necessarily love the music. Yeah, because it's mostly like, you know, just trap beats. It's hi-hat, snare, yeah, which is fine. Like, whatever, dude, you know. But I feel like that's pretty much every rap beat today is.
I can't tell you the number of times I'd be on the quiet car on the train, and there would always be someone, and they have like a really bad set of headphones, like really cheap, and then they would just turn it up really loud. And for like the 35-minute train ride into the city, it's a quiet car, but all you can hear is this person's like headphones bleeding out, and it's the same like hi-hat cymbal noise.
Yeah.
And it's like, so they'll just like vary up the tempo. Like one will be a little faster, one's a little slower, and it just drove me crazy.
With like a heavy bass line in the background, which is fine, whatever, dude. Like if you're selling records and you're having fun making music and that's what people are listening to, then go do it. You know?
Yeah. I just associate that noise with me trying to like sleep on the train in the morning, like 6, trying to like catch a couple more Z's. But, you know, and that's what I've come to realize. You know, I've used the term mumble rap myself, and I'm not a fan of it. You know, it doesn't make sense to me lyrically. I like hip hop that's like, you know, it's lyrical wordplay, and so like the clever rhymes that you do, like that's to me what I enjoy so much about hip hop. But when you get into these things where it's like it's just grunting and just words kind of that are smashed together that in the English lexicon don't make much sense, and I'm not just like, it could still be fun. Like you go to a concert or something and people are all like having a good time listening to it. Great. Then you feel the energy to it.
Yeah. But for like, obviously, it's a different story. Totally.
Yeah. But it was like, one of the things I would always do is I would watch Ballers. And then at the end of like every episode,
I might have to start watching that again because I didn't finish it.
Oh, it's meh.
Yeah, but it's sports entourage is what it is. So I'll watch it.
It's like
I know what you're selling me, and I accept it.
Yeah, and it's just like that sort of living the dream.
And Rob Corddry's hilarious in that show.
Yeah, he is good. I mean, don't get me wrong. It is like straight 100% sugar content for your brain. It's just there's no depth to it.
That's what my brain needs right now because my life is in a very weird place. But I will say there was one song that I wrote down. I listened to like 4 songs off the album.
Yeah.
And it's called A King's Nightmare. And that one I felt was like, you know, more of a like sort of lyrical narrative in some capacity. But like I said, he rapped more than a lot of people I hear rap nowadays, or at least the popular stuff I hear when I'm like working in the bar and stuff like that, and I hear these songs, you know.
Yeah.
But he's from Chicago, so that's awesome, and apparently he's doing well. But I think that's one thing I'm going to try and do, just because I haven't really, you know, gotten into any hip hop. Like the last like group I got kind of into from a hip hop perspective was Chitty Bang, who I think is awesome. If you've never listened to them, they're sweet. Check them out. I'm telling you, or you might know them. You probably do, but
I only know that one song where they took that beat from Kids, the MGMT song.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's about like not growing up or something. But yeah, it was like.
But they've got some other really good songs. One of my favorites, and but it's called I believe it's called "Talking to Myself" by Chitty Bang. But check that song out. I love that song. But yeah, man. So I think I'm gonna try and, like, as we do this, at least try and dive into like one hip hop album in some capacity each time that we do it, just to bring something different to our repertoire. And like, obviously this show is about listening to new stuff and finding new music. So
it's pushing the boundaries. I know. Did you listen to the new Run the Jewels or any Run the Jewels?
No, I actually saw them at Riot Fest because they filled in for Blink-182, and Blink-182 had to cancel. I forget why. Something
that was Travis Barker. He had like
what did he have?
He had a blood clot, I think, in like his.
It was probably coronavirus.
3 or 4 years ago.
He's probably patient zero.
Yeah, it all started there. But, yeah, they filled in. I think it was.
They were awesome.
Yeah. So they just put out Run the Jewels 4, and given the timeline of everything with, you know, the civil unrest and whatnot, it's been like, it was just right moment, right time. Like that album just hits on a lot of levels.
Yeah, well, and Killer Mike's awesome. I haven't watched his show on Netflix yet, but
I haven't either. But I know him and LP, like, they are great at making good beats, and, you know, that getting back into that lyrical wordplay, they're really good. And I listened to him back when he put out RAP, Rap Music was the name of the album. It was like RAP.
Yeah.
And the first track off of that song makes you want to run through a brick wall. It's just like,
that's awesome.
It's just this huge beat.
That's it.
But it's so good. And like, there's nothing like that on this album, but there's a lot of just, it's very thoughtful. And I think what they do,
culturally significant or important stuff being discussed.
Yeah. And it's just a lot of it hits home right now. And, you know, in the world, but I think it's also just musically just a great album. Like if you want to get into hip hop.
Yeah, I have it written down. So
I think
I'm going to post my homework assignments on my wall this week because I kind of misplaced them. I misplaced them last week.
Can't bury them in a notebook. One other band I will say to check out is Cunning Linguists.
Oh, Cunning Linguists? Yeah, I'm familiar with them. I've heard some of their stuff.
I think they're one of those like Minnesota bands. Or no, they're down south.
But they're kind of in that same ilk, I believe, of like that hip hop that kind of came out of the Atmosphere stuff. And
like I don't know what it is about like Minneapolis.
It's cold.
There's nothing better to do.
I don't know.
Just gonna rap
on basements. But yeah, man, that's been kind of, you know, so yeah, I will try and do that hip hop stuff. So, but yeah, Polo G, I've never heard of him in my life. I've listened to 4 of his songs today. And like I said, he's surprised it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And it was more, there was a lot more lyrical flow and content than I thought there would be. So that was refreshing.
Yeah.
And then trying to think if anything really popped up.
Yeah, did you listen to that Strand of Oaks song I sent you, Goshen 97?
No, when did you send me that?
I think it was like
My bad.
all good. So, Strand of Oaks. It's the name of the song is Goshen 97, but I think the album's from like 2014. But I had that kind of going because I saw he had put out a new album. It was called like Eraserland or something. But I revisited it. The album's called Heal. And I know it was like some weird thing. I should have done the homework about his personal life, but it's something to do with like his wife was having an affair on him. He
Sounds awful.
Came back, found like his house is burnt to the ground. Like just kind of this like, yeah. But
this isn't Aaron West in the Roaring 20s.
No. But like that was like
we go from the fake worst year of your life to the real worst year of someone's actual life.
Yeah. And I again don't quote me on it. But like
that immediately made if that's real, that immediately made me feel slightly better about my current situation.
Yeah. But I just remember reading an article, and it was like a review for the album of like, because the dude's, he's just like tall, like cut off, like jean sleeve vest. And it was the guy saying like he went to see him live, and the guy was just sweaty, and he hugged him, and he's like, I'm a random fan, and he just hugs me. But I heard the guy's live show was great, but that's definitely an album I'd say check out is Heal. But he also did, there was, I can't remember the name of the album, but it was, I think King Kill Dragon or something. Pope Kill Dragon was the name of the album. And there's this song on
Kill or Pope Kill Dragon?
I think it's Pope Kill Dragon, but it was like the first kind of like success he had. And there's a song on there called Daniel's Blues. He wrote it about, I almost don't even want to tell you, but I'm going to. But
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. He writes it from the first person perspective of Dan Aykroyd finding out that John Belushi died.
Oh, wow. This is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you why this is crazy in just a second. But go on.
But I'll just leave it at that. Because it's basically, it's this first person perspective of he like kind of like what Dan Aykroyd went through the day that he found out, and it's fictionalized. But so, and like he kind of makes reference to different SNL characters and stuff, but it's just like it's really interesting sort of like what would Dan Aykroyd do if he found out who the guy was that sold John Belushi the drugs. And it's like this sad, like really weird song, but check it out. It's
so I say that's the weirdest thing because like I wanted to bring this up even though it has nothing to do with music, but because you brought up John Belushi, it's a great segue to it. So having as much free time as I've had, I just watched the movie A Futile Stupid Gesture, and I thought it was fucking awesome. One of the better movies I've seen in a while. It is about Doug Kinney, who is the guy that started writing at Harvard with his buddy Howard. I forget the other guy's last name. But they basically took over the Harvard Lampoon and started doing all the satirical stuff and whatnot. Okay. And when they graduated, they started National Lampoon, the magazine. And they were supposed to go on and, you know what I mean, like have regular waspy-like jobs, you know, lawyer and stuff.
Yeah.
And they started National Lampoon. And it went from this BS magazine that these two guys created to discovering John Belushi, creating Animal House, basically creating Saturday Night Live without actually getting essentially the credit for creating Saturday Night Live. Because they had Gilda Radner working there, they had John Belushi, they had Chubby, they had Bill, you know, like, and so that's why it's like the perfect segue, but it's an awesome movie. I loved it. Will Forte plays Doug Kinney. The funniest part about it, I thought the most, no. But it's a biopic about Doug's life.
Okay.
But the thing I thought was the funniest thing, or most ironic thing about the movie, is Joel McHale plays young Chevy Chase in the movie, which I thought was awesome. I thought it was great, and I thought he did a very good job at it. But check it out. It's called A Futile and Stupid Gesture. I'm really glad that you brought up John Belushi because it allowed me to bring the movie up. Because I was gonna put it in like a note, but I was like, it's not about music, so I can't bring it up. But it came up naturally, so it was meant to be.
Sean, you're going off key.
I know. We're gonna cut that out. But it's really good. It's really good. Totally worth a watch, and you learn a lot about kind of, I mean, I think a lot of times comedy, parody songs, all that stuff kind of happens together, especially with SNL, and kind of how that all became a part of our culture, and it was all because of big majority of it was because of this guy Doug.
Stupid magazine. But
yeah, dude, it's awesome. It's awesome.
I think, and it's funny that Joel McHale plays him because I finally finished Community, and Chevy Chase on that show is, to me, hysterical. But it's just funny because I know like he had some rough patches like behind the scenes, and we won't go into it too much. But it's just funny to see that sort of crossover. I don't know when this came out, but I'll check
I think
it out.
Came out the last year or year and a half. And speaking of another tie to us in Chicago or to you, Matt Walsh is in it as well, and he has like a fairly prominent role in the film.
The guy was in my apartment once.
The guy that got away for you, Steve.
God damn. I fell asleep.
That's another story for another episode.
Yeah, like a fucking.
Or you can tell it right. Or you can tell it right now. It's up to you.
Nah. I'm still ashamed. Dan Luke will know if he ever listens to this. He'll know I fell asleep like an idiot.
Yeah. But yeah. So Futile and Stupid Gesture. And then speaking of movies, I watched last night. I watched the movie The Dirt, which is a Netflix original, as far as I know. It's the Motley Crue story. So if you've ever seen the behind the music on Motley Crue, pretty much seen the movie The Dirt, but this is kind of a more like comedic approach to it. It was very entertaining. I thought it was good, not great. I thought it was a little over the top at some points, and I thought sometimes the acting was pretty good, and sometimes the acting could have been better. But what the fuck do I know? But anyways, it was worth the watch. I thought it was worth the watch. So I would say check out the movie Dirt. It was very entertaining. It's obviously music related. And you kind of get to see the forming of the band, which I thought was the coolest part. Really how they, kind of really assuming that the forming part, which I'm pretty sure is pretty accurate. You got to see them really how they got brought together, which was cool. But worth a watch. So check that out. And then other than that, basically I watched Dinner and a Movie this week, which was from 2015, which I thought was really good.
I missed that one this week.
The second set was 5 songs. So it was just a jam-filled second set.
Oh.
It was just,
it's like, did they cut it short?
No.
5 40-minute songs.
They were all 20-minate versions of themselves, essentially.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good, So if it's still up, I would say check out part of it, or at least check out the second set. The first set was very good, too. I think it's one of their higher-rated shows, the last, 10 years. But Dinner and a Movie was good. But other than that, same old stuff. Like, I went skateboarding today and put on some punk music and, whatever. But
speaking of punk music, one band I did check out was Chubby and the Gang.
Yeah.
And I know Riot Fest just got canceled.
My wiener.
It's a weird name for a band, but I know Riot Fest just got canceled this week, or postponed, I should say. But they released
postponed to 2021.
Yeah. But they released, I don't know if you saw the lineup. It was I was excited about it, which is.
It looked pretty sweet.
Yeah. But Chubby and the Gang was actually supposed to play, so I got kind of excited about it. But they're kind of this it takes it back to that sort of old school like punk sound. But I think
Like
they're from
like just stripped down guitar,
yeah,
drum, bass,
and like sort of
like like just real
yeah.
simple.
But the name of the album is called Speed Kills.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just like it went through. It was like pretty short, but the
If it's an old school punk album, I would expect it to be no longer than 40 minutes.
Yeah, most of the tracks are like floating around 2 minutes, but
Yeah,
it was
right.
like if you're gonna like skateboard, I would try and say check something like that out. But it was like a bunch of English guys, I think. I don't know too much about the band. I couldn't find too much about them, but it was a fun album. I'll put it at that.
All right. Well, it's written down. Speaking of punk bands, you see what's going on here?
I did.
You see that?
Sweet. Yes. I can't believe that fits you. I would rip right out of mine. Would put it on and it would just explode
next week you have to
on
wear
contact with my body.
Next week you have to wear yours and Hulkamania out of it at the end of the episode.
Because that thing's going to be worth money someday. You got to hold on to that.
But yeah, I have some band shirts, not a lot, because I don't really buy them anymore when I go to shows. But this is one, obviously, I was like, well, we're doing the second episode. I'm going to put the Too Sweet shirt on and we'll do it in there if it comes up. I was wondering if you would notice, but you can't really see it without moving the camera down.
Yeah, once you kind of put that up. Yeah. I haven't bought a band shirt in forever. Because the problem with band shirts is you buy them from the merch table, and then because like apparently every band kid ever is like super skinny, you buy it, you can't try it on, you go home. Like I think the last band shirt I bought was from, I think it was a Gaslight shirt, but I bought it and I put it on at home and my stomach looked like Han Solo trying to get out of the kryptonite. Like it's just like, it was just like, it's so tight because it's like,
you know the best part about that is when I edit this later, I'm literally gonna put the Han Solo, the kryptonite or the whatever the hell it's called, I can't remember, into the corner over there. It's gonna be awesome.
It's not even kryptonite. I don't even know if that's the right word.
No, it's not. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, Megan would castrate me right now.
I should. Well, I hope she doesn't do that. Yeah, that's it's carbonite. That's what it is.
Carbonite. Yeah, that's close. Carbonite. Good enough.
Of course it's cashmere.
So any of the bands out there, make your shirts bigger.
Or let me try them on.
Yeah.
And if you ask, they will let you try it on.
Yeah.
Or at least hold it up to you and kind of get an idea. But, did you check out anything else? Is there anything?
A couple of things I will say that I wanted to talk about was, yes, I did finish Sound City, and I thought it was great.
It's fantastic, isn't it? I went back and watched the second half today in anticipation of this tonight, and I got emotional watching it again because it's just about like the power of music and recording and like making music with your friends, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But it's fucking great, man. I love it. I fucking love that. I love the last like 25 minutes of that are fantastic.
Well, especially because it gets to like that hour point in the movie, and you look at the time gauge on there, and like, all right, about halfway through, and they're already talking about bands that come through there in like the 2000s. Mm-hmm. And then you're wondering how are they going to kind of continue this on. And then the second half where they build into the actual recording sessions and rebuilding that Neve console. Yeah. And then just kind of like him buying it off the guy, he's just preserving it and keeping that sound alive. Mm-hmm. And I went through and I listened to the album after the fact, and I only gave it one listen through, but it was just cool to see.
It's called the 606 something, right?
I think so. I don't know the numbers exactly, but it was Rupert Neve was the guy who did it, who built that console.
Yeah, but I mean, because they record. So if you haven't seen the documentary, they end up recording an album on it, right? Like after Dave buys it.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a spoiler alert unless you're like me who hasn't actually seen it.
But
uh,
I didn't know that album existed either
until
I saw the documentary. Which
because
I was like, I was kind of shocked by that because normally, like, if Dave Grohl does something, I feel like most of the general population of rock music fans hears about it. So I don't know how I missed that, but whatever.
Is the official spokesperson for rock and roll.
I mean, if you had to pick one, he's probably the guy I'd pick.
Yeah, if he was a nominee.
That's a good question. That's a good question. If you had to pick an official spokesperson for rock and roll, if you watch this, comment below and let us know who you would pick.
He's likable.
I feel like Dave Grohl would be leader in the clubhouse just off the top of my head.
Oh yeah, 100%. Vice President Trent Reznor. Go ahead. Fight me about it.
Speaking of, I wrote down a quote when I was watching the second half of this because so when you watch the Sound City documentary, they start to talk about how everything went to Pro Tools in the early 2000s, and that's basically a huge part of the reason why Sound City ended up shutting down because they weren't booking bands to record anymore because they record on a reel-to-reel tape, and basically they record things live and whatnot. But everybody kind of they talk about people being afraid of Pro Tools, and then they talk about how Trent just saw it as a new kind of instrument, basically, for him to use, which was really cool because obviously he's pretty much a musical genius, or I would say he is.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But I love the quote is, now that everyone is empowered with these tools, and he's referring to like the digital age coming in, to create, now that everyone is empowered with these tools to create, has there been a lot more great shit coming out? That's the question he asks. And he goes, not really. You still have to have something to do with those tools, and you should really try to have something to say. And I thought that was really awesome for him to basically still be like, you still need to be able to speak through your instrument, or at least that's the way I look at it. And I just thought that quote was awesome. And to see Trent like really go from recording live, but then they show him like using the functionality of the digital recording capabilities to enhance the one they made with Josh Homme from help me out.
Queens of the
Stone Age. Thank you.
Yeah.
Him, Dave, and Trent made was really cool. So again, if you're watching this and you haven't watched the Sound City documentary, spend an hour and a half or hour and 50 minutes of your life watching it. It's totally worth it. It's super entertaining. It's really, really good. Especially if you're a musician or you just like the process of listening or hearing about musicians talk about recording music.
Yeah. And one thing that surprised me out of that whole thing was Rick Springfield.
Yeah, he can fucking throw down.
Yeah. And the best part about it is when they were playing the demo tape of him doing Jesse's Girl, and they basically told him like, yeah, we don't want you playing guitar on this track because Jesse's Girl is the only Rick Springfield song I know. And he comes in there, and then they do the recording later. And he just really lets go, and I was not expecting that, but maybe he is.
It was definitely cool to see.
Yeah.
But check out Sound City if you haven't checked it out. Is there anything else you want to add?
I mean, the other thing I'll say in terms of like things I've watched is it was called All Things Must Pass. And it was like something that came up in a watch next thing after I watched Sound City. And it's about the rise and yeah. No, this is YouTube. So a lot of the stuff's free.
Okay. Thank you, Google.
Yeah. But it was the rise and fall of Tower Records. And without, getting too much into it, it was just interesting.
Dude, I was gonna start that actually right after I finished. I think that's what I was going to start. I'm 99% sure. I was about to start that today when I went back and rewatched it.
The algorithms, they know what
I want.
They know what to feed you.
I need new shoes.
But it was directed by Colin Hanks. It was Tom Hanks' son.
Yeah.
And so he basically did this documentary, and it was right before the last Tower Records in like LA was about to close down.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just kind of chronicling what the first Tower Records started as, and
Yeah.
then what it became and how it grew to this behemoth and changed the industry. But it was really the thing that was interesting about it was the culture that was built around Russ Solomon is the guy who founded it. And it was basically all these people, like if you started at the floor, like, you know, and they would drink and smoke and do whatever in the back rooms. But as long as you showed up for your shift and you got your stuff done and you could wear whatever you want, like you could do whatever you want. But it was a true sort of culture of freedom like that.
Almost like the movie Empire Records.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't
great
seen
90s
that.
movie if you've never seen it. I mean, I don't know.
I kind of know the premise of it, but I think that's probably what it was based around. But
I would imagine. I mean, it sounds very much like Empire Records to me, and that's a great nostalgic 90s film.
Yeah, and this will make you think about sort of what it felt like to go into record stores and be around people and flip through sort of CD catalogs and everything.
Dude, that was the fun part. When I worked at Best Buy in high school, like I loved finding people that were interested in music, and I actually think that's how I met Matt Levy. So he gets back-to-back references on both episodes.
Number one fan.
I'm 99% sure that's how I actually met him. Because I knew he looked familiar. I knew we knew some of the same people. I think like we were talking music in one of the aisles, and I was like, how do I know you?
Yeah.
And I think that's how we met each other. So if that's the case, shout out to Matt again. He's gonna be our Easter egg. We're just gonna put him in the show. We're gonna weave our way.
Find the Matt Levy in this week's episode.
I'm gonna put a picture of him up in this one.
I think. No, I think what we should do is start a mailbag. Because I know he had dropped some recommendations into the.
He did,
yeah.
And let's talk about, or let's at least. I'm gonna.
So.
Grab those real quick, or do you have them written down or something?
I mean, one of the ones that I did check out that I really liked was the Interrupters.
Okay.
And I only caught like one track, and I think it was like Kerosene something. And they do a cover of Billie Eilish's Bad Guy.
Oh.
But the lead singer, it's like, I don't know, there's like a Joan Jett sort of vibe, I guess, to it. But I think the look that they're going for is, again, kind of hailing back to that 80s sort of punk, you know, early 80s punk scene maybe.
Yeah.
And again, this is just me listening to like one song, but as far as the aesthetic of the band, I think that's kind of what they might be going for, but it was refined, I think, for a modern generation. But I don't know, I thought the one track I heard was pretty catchy, and I'll probably check some more of that out. I know he sent Julian Baker was another artist. I know I've heard her name a lot. And then Treaty of Paris, which is a Chicago band who I haven't listened to. And
I was going to say Treaty of Paris I've heard of for years, and I don't think I've actually listened to them.
I think they're hometown boys. But I never knew too much about them. But
well, maybe we can see them live in 18 months.
Hopefully. But I know one other suggestion was had to bring in Austrian Death Machine. This was a personal request from an anonymous fan.
Oh, okay.
Just to talk about our history with Austrian Death Machine.
From Adam Herzog.
No, it was not.
No?
No.
Oh, okay. And from an anonymous person?
Yeah. So we'll have to figure that one out for you.
Well, I mean, so for those who don't know, are we talking about Austrian Death Machine right now? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. 2 minutes, go.
So Austrian Death Machine is the creation of the former lead singer of As I Lay Dying, who...
As I Lay Crying.
Yeah, sounds like a dying moose.
That guy tried to kill his wife.
Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, and he loves Arnold's movies, so he decided to cut an album of his own all about Arnold's movies. So the first song off the first album is called Get to the Chopper, correct?
Yeah.
Isn't that track 1?
Yeah.
There's also a song called Rubber Baby Buggy Bumpers, Who's Your Daddy and What Does He Do? It's Not a Tumor, If It Bleeds, We Can Kill It.
Yes, vocals by The Predator.
Yeah, featuring The Predator. If you are feeling sluggish during your workouts and you need something to pick you up, I thoroughly suggest putting on the first album, which is called Total Brutal.
Yeah.
And if you can't get jacked up to do your push-ups or sit-ups or whatever the hell you're doing, then, you need to find something else to
check
do.
your pulse.
Yeah, but Austrian Death Machine is a hilariously awesome, sweet metal band. So check it out, and then also learn the story about how the lead singer tried to hire a contract killer or a contract hitman to kill his wife.
Yep.
And went to prison.
And now he's out and still playing.
I know. Still making new music. It's crazy. It's crazy.
People are just like, yeah, we're going to ignore that.
Forget about that whole you trying to hire somebody to kill your wife thing. No big deal there.
What a dummy.
Oh, my Lord. It's crazy. Yeah, check out Austrian Death Machine. Is there anything else you wanted to add, or is that pretty much gonna wrap it up for us?
The only other shout out I was required to mention was this 5-minute video clip of the Saxquatch, which was a man dressed in a Bigfoot costume in the middle of the woods playing a jazzy Ron Swanson, or what was Ron Swanson's name? Nick Silver?
Nick Silver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Style jazz tune in the middle of the woods. And it's just 5 minutes.
Who asked you to?
It's Brian.
From your old coworker?
Yeah. So, shout out, man. The only other thing I will say that I do want to say, because I know we're running over.
Yeah, I know. But that's probably gonna be the first thing I watch of all our homework assignments.
Yeah.
It's going to be the sex. That's awesome. That's so good.
I did want to mention that I did watch that Robert Johnson documentary, Devil at the Crossroads. And I knew like a little bit about him, but the myth and the urban legend of Robert Johnson is just so cool. He's got 2 photos of him in existence.
Crazy.
29 recordings of him, and like just like he's just a ghost, but he's like just a modern legend. I shouldn't say modern, but
basically one of the most important figures in popular music history.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And did you catch the cameo of Adam from Satan and Adam in there?
I did. I was going to say that. Yeah. Which is something we could talk about. I would love to talk about that one too.
We'll talk about Satan and Adam next week. We'll leave that as the tease for the viewers.
Yeah. One thing I did see though is and you'll just find this interesting, is that when I was digging around on Robert Johnson, and it was on a message board somewhere, so I don't know how true it is, but on those old recordings of him when he had recorded it, it was before vinyl and it was before tape and everything, so they recorded it on it's a shellac disc, I don't know. But basically the story is that when they converted it in the 50s from that shellac disc up to like the tape cassette recordings that we have nowadays, that it was a quarter tone higher and faster than the original recordings. So the original recordings actually sound a lot purer than what you hear now and the way that they were intended to be. That's why it's like, it was just kind of like a cool thing. I don't know if it's true. If it is, it's kind of like, I would like to hear that.
I mean, I'm not an audio engineer in anywhere close to an audio engineer, obviously, but just kind of understanding when we compress files and things of that nature and we convert stuff over, wouldn't shock me at all if it went up, a half step or down, you know what I mean? Like compressing the recording, got set up or whatever. It wouldn't shock me at all, but that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy to think about. But yeah, man, he's a legend for sure. And it's, on top of being musically a legend, he's got the myth and the story to go with all of it. So
yeah,
definitely really cool. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad I am. I thought I didn't know if you would enjoy it as much as I did, just because I play a lot of blues music, so I know that what I play is basically rooted in the shit that he kind of redefined or helped popularize, 90 years ago now, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yeah, it was good. And it's a quick one. It's like 50 minutes on the documentary.
Yeah, it's not super long because obviously he wasn't alive for that long. So
it's not much to say.
And there's not a lot known about him other than his music. But I think that's going to do it for us, right?
Yeah. I mean, for next week, I'll check out some Hyperspace by Beck. I'll dig into a little bit of Mungion. I got Polo G and Chitty Bang. I'll try and check out that Bob Dylan track. And I also want to, was it No Direction Home was the documentary?
Yeah, the No Direction Home documentary came out, I want to say it was like 2005 maybe. But it's done by Martin Scorsese. I thought it was good. There's a lot of really interesting stuff that I think you'll enjoy in the beginning, where he talks about Woody Guthrie and Woody Guthrie being kind of like his original influence. But I think a lot of what you hear, when you hear him talk about the influence of Woody Guthrie, I think you can kind of see or connect it to the Gaslight Anthem and Brian Fallon a lot.
Makes sense.
But there's a really cool story that I won't spoil for you. So if you watch it, and it should be on HBO, there's a really cool story where he talks about Woody Guthrie, and I think you'll know what I'm talking about, but it's just something that really couldn't be done today, just because of the world we live in now. It probably would never happen.
Gotcha.
But yeah, check it out. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I definitely thought it was overhyped or overrated. I thought it was good. I thought there was a lot of interesting stuff. It's cool to hear Bob talk about writing his songs. However, I just didn't, I don't know, maybe I caught it too late. I wasn't as wrapped up in it when it first came out, Yeah. But I didn't think it was on the level of, I feel like, awesomeness that I heard it regarded in. But still worth a watch. It's still enjoyable.
Yeah. If you have any interest in him, watch it.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to enjoy it. But yeah, so check it out. So I've written down like the Zach Brown incident, which I'm really excited to check out. I want to look up this Vulfpeck Madison Square Garden video. I have Sea Change and Morning Phase written down to check out from Beck. Obviously, this is a big list I've written down for myself. I don't know if we'll get to all of it, but I don't really have any reason not to. So if I don't, I'm going to say that I suck at life. But Run the Jewels 4, Strand of Oaks, Goshen 97, Pope Killed Dragon, and Daniel's Blues. That's all by Strand of Oaks? Is that correct?
Yeah, Pope Killed Dragon's the name. Daniel's Blues is the song. And the rest of the album I don't really know much about. Listen to Heal if I'm going to suggest anything.
Okay.
Listen to that Daniel's Blues song, though.
Yeah, and then Chubby and the Gang, the Speed Kelvins album. I want to listen to the 606 album myself. Like, that was something I was thinking about doing today after I went back and watched some of the Sound City stuff. And then the This Shall Pass documentary of, like, that's the Tower Records one, right?
Yeah, All Things Must Pass.
Okay.
And if you're really bored, watch Good Copy, Bad Copy. We could talk about it next week. It's
too many things, Steve.
I know. But you've it's about piracy and sampling, and it's got Girl Talk and Danger
I think
Mouse.
I've seen a clip from it before.
It's a really kind of low quality but interesting documentary. It goes off the rails a bit, but
I think we talked about it actually in my visual communications class when we talked about remixing, like the idea of remixing artwork itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I've seen the clip from it that you're talking about. Cool. With Girl Talk. And then I also have written down the Interrupters, the Julian Baker stuff, and Saxquatch being the most important of all.
Good luck finding him. I don't even know where he comes from.
Hashtag dad jokes to end the show. But yeah, that's going to do it for my esteemed colleague, Steve Jobs, and myself. Look for the iPod Touch 17 coming out next fall. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you guys watched, we appreciate it. And if you have comments or you want to criticize us and tell us we're stupid and we suck, or if you have things for us to listen to.
Or if we got things wrong. Wrong. We're not pros. I have low qualities for music.
You have a low standard, I believe was the
low standard. That's the quote. Also, next time we will try and make this shorter again. But
it's hard, dude.
It's hard. It's really hard.
We had fun talking about music.
I had fun. Hopefully you had fun. Hopefully they had fun.
Hey, you know what? Last time was an hour 10. I think we're running just in an hour. So baby steps.
Dude,
we're 10 minutes shorter.
Just slow it down.
But thanks for watching, guys. We will talk to you later.
Cue music.